Live on Red Dot Cafe. Hello. My name is Angelica Cordero, and I am the licensee for TEDx San Antonio, and I'm joined today with Susan Price, who is the president of Fiesta for the Mind.
Hey there.
Hey, Susan.
Good morning.
Oh, man, what a crazy time.
Yep.
That we're in right now. So we're actually going live right now to the Facebook and YouTube community. We'll be here for about 30 minutes to chat a little bit about what Red Dot Cafe is and what you guys can expect in the next couple of days and next week. So feel free to go ahead and jump in the comments and let us know that you're here and say hello. And please make sure to go ahead and share this forward onto your networks. So there's a bit of news that we need to share with the community. And Susan, do you want to speak to this a little bit?
I'm struggling with the platform to be completely transparent. I'm trying to look at my slides with my notes on them and do this. And I bet I'm not alone that a bunch of you are also mastering new remote technologies.
Sure. So what I did on mine is I have two windows side by side, one with the live stream and the other with the slides on it.
What a good idea. All right, I'm going to do that.
So as I'm sure that a lot of you have been noticing, there's a lot of things that are happening in the world today, especially with the COVID-19 happening in the world. It seems like every day there is some new crazy thing that's happening, new news, new shutdowns, new transitions of people moving to home, and more cases that come that get confirmed in the news. So a few weeks back, our board got together and made a decision to postpone our events for the year through July, which is was really a really difficult decision to make. How did you feel about that, Susan?
Well, at the time, I went into the board meeting thinking, well, we don't want to overreact here, and we have worked so hard to get these dates into place, and surely this is going to pass within a few weeks, and so we should be slow to just undo all the work that went into planning these events. But I am so grateful that I work with so many smart people, and the folks in the board meeting proposed that we be more conservative, which is an interesting place to be for a TED idealistic type of group. But we thought that prudent thing, these are elective gatherings, if you will. So we decided to err on the side of caution and postpone just the 3 events that are in the next 3 months.
Yeah.
So we had a volunteer kickoff that was the next week or later that week, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then we were so excited because this year we're actually celebrating 10 years of being here in the city and providing these wonderful opportunities for all of you to congregate together and discuss all the wonderful ideas that are happening in our city. And sadly, we had to put them on the back burner. I think, we wanted to make sure that everybody was safe. And so that's kind of what brought us to even discussing doing Red Dot Cafe in the first place, because I won't speak for Susan, I'll speak for myself, but I love actually going to our events, and I love how we get together and we talk about ideas and how we can agree to disagree, or we're seeking out new ideas and being really curious and asking tons of questions. And it's so much fun. And it was really sad to have to make the postponement, but we knew we were going to do something and put something on together. So we're still hoping to host our main event in person in October. fingers crossed. We are watching the updates as they come in, and hopefully come July, when we all revisit everything, that we'll still be in a place where we can continue to actually have everybody brought together. Yeah.
Yep. We are really fortunate that we have so many people who are good at the remote technologies. We have a lot of people in our orbit. So one of the things I've loved most about TED since I helped found the group was the high quality people that are in the speaker cohort, the attendee cohort, and the partner cohort. They're all up to very interesting things. We're all pretty well connected, and our community stays in touch with one another. So I'm eager for us to establish a channel where these super helpful doer type people are able to bring this to the larger community.
I just wanted to take a minute. I was seeing that we've got a few people that are watching us now, and I wanted to say hello to, we've got Anthony in here, and Chris McDermott, Phil, Lisa Hurst, and Lisa Phillips. So we've got some previous speakers, as well as some of our volunteers in the thread right now. So please make sure to let us know that you're here and say hello. So one thing that Susan and I wanted to share with everybody was that we have had the wonderful luxury of being a part of a great group of TEDx organizers from across the globe who are sharing information with each other in hopes to help dispel a lot of the misinformation that's out there, that's kind of circulating the internet, in hopes that we're getting the right information in front of people. One of the big things that is extremely important to us as an organization and to TED is to make sure that, you know, we're helping dispel those threads of information that are incorrect. And it's been really awesome to be a part of this community on the back end, and to kind of see things coming in, and especially to actually see things as they're happening in other countries that are clear across around the world. Susan, what's been your fun little insight that you've gotten from the group thus far?
It's very humbling to be a part of that group. I'm mostly a fly on the wall, just watching people make connections. But we're hearing from people in China who have sort of come out the other side of this, and then they have resources to share. And behind the scenes, a lot of these TEDx and TEDsters that are in this group have contacts at Amazon or at Cornell Medical or the Mayo Clinic. And so they're making connections between people who have resources or knowledge and people who need resources or specific knowledge. There's a lot of source sharing of the most trusted sources, and there's some really fascinating discussions about the moving target that is, what data are we looking at, and whose messages can we trust and whose messages do we need to still further vet. And we've got super smart people vetting that stuff and then telling us, you know, this one is good for this purpose. Sometimes a report or a data set will be good for a specific topic only. And so there's a whole lot of that data triage and news triage going on in this group. I don't know if all of you know that Chris Sandoval publishes a really interesting email newsletter that it's like a little link farm, and it's called Interesting Stuff. If you want some information about how to subscribe to that, reach out to us at registration@tedxsanantonio.com. We can hook you up. It's fascinating. So it's like, if you're familiar with Sandoval's newsletter, it's like that, except on steroids, and it's real time, and it's from people all over the world. So one of the things I know you enjoy, and I do too, Angelica, is hearing from those people in Sydney, in Tokyo, in China, in Europe. You know, it's truly a global pandemic, and it's very striking how similar we all are. And I know we're self-selected as this group of TEDxers, but tell me what you think about that.
It's been really comforting, actually. I think that being in self-isolation for this will be my fourth week, actually. So I actually started several weeks prior to what a lot of people did, and it has been difficult. I completely understand what people are worried about going into this time frame because I've been there in the last few weeks. I know I've struggled and I've tried my best as well to find ways in which to address it in the most healthy of manners. And it's just nice. It's nice to feel like somebody clear across around the world is also experiencing the same things as I am, and that I have a real-time ability to just reach out to a group of people who get it. The other part to me that's really actually very, very cool is I got word this morning that one of the research papers that originated out of UTSA, specifically about this entire thing that's going on, a mathematician, professor over at UTSA, basically identified or estimated what the infection rate is of an asymptomatic individual is up to 26%. And that paper is actually circulating decision makers here in San Antonio. So that was a really interesting and exciting thing to see and to hear about, between not just the community that we're in, but the community here locally, and how those two communities are coming together uh, in very in very close proximity, but they're not directly related to each other, but they're still connected, is just a real fun. It's a fun place for me to be, to feel like I'm sitting in the cusp between the two, because then it just makes me feel like warm and fuzzy inside in a moment when I think I need something warm and fuzzy. As I'm sure a lot of people in the thread right now are joining us. So we've got Carlos Valdez that's here, Sherry Pitts. Hi, Sherry. And Phil, Michelle is in here as well. So we're so happy to have you guys joining us. So, a lot of why we're doing this has really everything to do with what we were just talking about. We wanted to find a way to get more connected to the local community, and to allow us to be a resource of information during this time, but also for activities. So we've got a lot that's planned, that's really exciting, that it will help with engagement for you at home, and also help you get to see some wonderful faces of people who've graced our stage in the last few years. I'm really excited.
Right.
Susan, you know a lot about this hashtag. I know that there's a lot of conversation that's happening around a whole bunch of different hashtags, and you had pointed one out particularly that I thought was really fascinating. Would you be able to tell us a little bit more about this hashtag and what are people sharing to this particular hashtag?
Well, when we were first starting our group, one of our big angels was Rob LaJess. His Twitter handle is creator, but it's not spelled like you would think. But if you look for Rob LaJess, he used to be the innovation VP at Rackspace, and he started using this hashtag during Katrina, the Hurricane Katrina. And I don't know if you guys remember, but Rackspace had just moved into its mall not too long before that. They were just getting a foothold in their large, big, empty space. And they came up with a principle that they try to live: be helpful. So Rackers are a very connected and philanthropic community, and they wanted to help. And they had this big empty space, and they offered it as a shelter when the Katrina victims were overflowing the Superdome, and it was terrible. And it was a gloom and doom time where a lot of folks in communities like us, landlocked San Antonio, what can we do to help? They just focused on what can they do to help, and they decided to be helpful. So the hashtag he started was Be Helpful, and it has been gathering steam since then, and it's enjoying a resurgence right now. It enjoyed a resurgence during Hurricane Harvey, and it's enjoying a resurgence now. There's a lot of folks using it just to spread this happy message of don't focus on the negative. Don't sit home and cry. Don't get depressed. Focus on what each of us can do. I have a client that is the responsibility company for Firecat, and they also focus on this the space between stimulus and response. So we're very likely to be activated in fear right now, all of us. We are under threat. We're not in, most of us aren't in physical danger. We're not in an emergency situation, but we are having threat, even if we're not having threat of, like, maybe we're young or we're even a small child, that probably going to be fine, right? But we're all at risk of this, the financial impact, the economic impact. So we're on that heightened sense of fight or flight. We're experiencing stress responses. And what I'm hoping that Red Dot Cafe can do is give people something else to focus on. And the something else is set intention about what you want to do, how you want to respond in this situation. Mm-hmm. And we've got so many wonderful, inspiring people in the community that are former speakers or sponsors or partners, or just the folks that are a lot of people on the call today who have worked really hard to make these things happen. We are doers. We're not just content delivery where somebody stands on a stage and quacks. This is our moment where we can show up and actually help do things that are helpful.
Yeah, I 100% agree with what you're saying, Susan. So let's get into a little bit about what Red Dot Cafe is. So what we're doing is it's basically 30 minutes at lunchtime, straight up at noon, we're going to start. And it'll be Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And we will have previous speakers who will come back and they'll either share a little bit about their idea. They'll either walk us through an exercise that's about their idea that they spoke on. We also have a couple of speakers who are going to come back and they're going to engage with each other in this speakers on speakers dialogue of the ideas that they have and how relevant they are currently. And there's tons of other ways in which we're actually going to be doing things too outside of Red Dot Cafe. We're actually talking to a local chef who we're hoping to actually have come or share with us some short little videos on tips on making healthy cuisines for your family while you're at home. I know that we've got a ton of different speakers who are going to be doing things like doodling classes and talking about finances during this time, because as Susan said, you know, right now we're in this crazy transition into a new world where it's not something that we're used to, and many of us are actually either unfortunately losing our jobs or our businesses and so forth. And so having somebody around who has that experiential knowledge to help us out will be really great too. So if you follow us, make sure to follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and LinkedIn, and we'll have updates every single day about what it is that we're going to be talking about on Red Dot Cafe. Some of the people that we've got up this week, which I'm actually really, really excited about. So tomorrow we'll have the CEO of the San Antonio Food Bank, Eric Cooper, speak with a previous speaker who his name is Mitch Hagney, who's a local urban farmer, and they'll be joining us tomorrow at noon to discuss the local food economy and what they're experiencing at this time of shutdown, lockdown, and people honestly scrounging to find food. There's a lot of really interesting things that are happening in that community right now, which is really kind of fun. Then Thursday, we'll have Eric Dorza, who joined us in 2014, just to provide us a little bit of levity and comedy. If you haven't watched Eric's talk prior, Eric is a drag queen who is now living in Chicago and going to Columbia, and he's getting his degree in theater. He's also an intern currently at Second City, so it should be a lot of fun on Thursday for some humor. Next week, we've got Elizabeth Crawford, who spoke at the last event in the fall, who's going to be giving us some tips and tricks on finances, as we were just talking. And then Kate Hayward is going to be joining us on April Fools to do a little doodling session, which should be a lot of fun. followed by another Speakers on Speakers interview between planetary astrophysicist Natalie Hinkle and our local, wonderful, loving mental health unit police officer, Joe Smarrow. So there's a lot coming, and a lot even more coming. Our past speakers are just so eager and excited to participate and excited to engage with our community. And I'm excited. I'm selfishly just like, yay, this is going to be so much fun. I'm so excited. I can't wait to see how our community is going to respond to this. I personally really, really, truly care about every single person who comes to our events, and every person that volunteers, every speaker, every sponsor. So this is really great time for us to be coming together. I feel like it is totally San Antonio. This entire situation we've got set up is just straight up what I think San Antonio is all about, coming together. So it's a lot of fun.
But I also want to make the point that we are very interested in hearing from you guys, what you want to hear, who you want to hear from, what topics do you want to cover. We're keen to make this into an opportunity. I think of another hashtag I like is embrace the opportunity. It's not seize the opportunity. It's not, be evil or try to outdo other people, but let's look for those win opportunities that we know are out there. So you can talk to us with registration at tedxsanantonio.com. You can talk to us in Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, wherever you hang out. We've pretty much got a presence there, and we would love to see suggestions from you. You do not have to be a former speaker or a partner to make these suggestions or to suggest a session that you would like to see.
Absolutely, yeah. And we're even interested in having some musicians come on and play, because we all know that a little music is good for the soul. And even if you're an improv person or a comedian or a poet, I think we're really excited to have this be a time in which we're able to showcase all the wonderful ideas that are here in the community that we have an opportunity now to basically put in the forefront. So like Susan said, you can either email us at the registration email that you see on your screen. Another is that you can also follow us at typically anywhere on social media. We're all everywhere that you can imagine at TEDx San Antonio. So it'll be lots of fun. Let's see, we've got Michelle saying she can't wait for Eric Dorsa on Thursday. I know, I'm really excited about that one, right? Too. Yeah. And then a note from Phil saying, I love what you're doing. So we're so excited and can't wait, honestly, for more feedback from you guys. So please let us know what you want to hear, who you want to hear from, and we'll try our best to get them on as soon as possible.
Do you want to talk a little bit about what Big TED, we call them, what they're up to?
Yeah, so Big TED is doing something very similar to us. TED Connects is hosting a daily live stream at 12 p.m. Eastern. That is 11 a.m. here, so just before we go live at noon. And Chris Anderson, the head of Big TED, is the one who is hosting this live stream. And every single day of the week, they're hosting. It's about an hour-long live stream, and they're having people like Bill Gates come on and talk. And I think they're working on Brene Brown, and there's several other ones that are more particularly not just about what's happening with the pandemic and the science of it, but they're also having other people like psychologists and mindfulness people coming on to talk more about mental health during this time as well. I suspect that we'll probably also be seeing some performances through the TED Connects as well. So yeah, you'll want to make sure to follow Big TED everywhere on social media as well. They're very easy to get to. It's just at TED or at TED Talks. And it's going to be every single day. It was launched yesterday. Today, they actually spoke with Bill Gates. and spoke to him on his previous TED Talk that he gave a few years ago discussing this exact topic. So it's really fascinating. I highly recommend it. We'll make sure to go ahead and share it with you guys in the comments. So let's see. Well, we have a few minutes. We're coming to the top of our time here. Let's see, does anyone have any questions that maybe we want to have answered? Let's see, let's go through these comments. We've got very cool, love the platform from AJ. Another comment from Michelle. I'd love to hear from Holly Hirschberg about an update on her seed program. Yeah, that'd be really cool. We're also in the midst of all of this sharing past talks from the last 10 years as well. So make sure to watch our social media feeds because we'll be hosting a whole bunch of those talks as well. Yesterday, we had Sarah Brooks Lyons up there who spoke about her 1005 Faces project, which is a really cool project that I believe right now is on exhibit at the San Antonio airport. When we get back to a place where we're flying, I really hope that Sarah's exhibit is still there because you should definitely check it out. But it was a really endearing talk from a few years back where she spoke about what she learned from taking portraits of people in the community and how it captured the wonderfulness that is San Antonio. Along with this, I'll end with this one little tidbit. So we want to hear about all of the ways that you guys are seeing how ideas manifest in this community here in San Antonio. How are you seeing the power of those ideas manifesting during this time? And it can be something that you just see online. It could be a video. It can be a photo. It can be an article. It could be whatever you want to share with us. But if you want to tag it, make sure to use the hashtag Powerofx. And we'll make sure that we're sharing it along and highlighting it as well with our community too. All right.
So did you talk about Power of 10? You said
no.
Main event, but let's make sure people understand what the significance of that is.
Sure. So our main event this year, I know earlier we had mentioned that this year marks our 10-year anniversary of being here in the city. And so what we decided to theme our event this year is Power of 10. And yeah, I mean, there's so many ways that we could define what that means. I think that for me, it's really ironic, I think, that it's lining up with this exponential exposure of how the virus is kind of going around, but the same mentality can be said about good things that we do in the world, that there's an exponential power of sorts that good can kind of filter and also spread in the same manner. So that's what Power of 10 means for me. I know that a lot of people will have their own definition of what it means to them. How does it resonate for you, Susan, what Power of 10 means?
Well, all the data that we're seeing is that the virus spreads exponentially. That's why we're in this kind of physical distancing protocols, and it's a lot of how we're managing things. But we can, so I like to focus on what can I do about it and what should I be doing now about it. And I think our group, our TEDx San Antonio community, has the ability to be exponentially good. It's hard to talk about, but in a huge disruption like this, there is a lot of opportunity. I work in the innovation and digital transformation field. And when big shocks to the system happen, it's when things are loose and rattling around that we can actually make very significant gains. So I'm keen on having that power in my hands rather than sitting and waiting for things to happen to me. So let's exponentially do good. Let's use Power of 10 intentionally to get our community to be doing good, be helpful, all that.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, we are at the bottom of the hour. It's been a wonderful time that we have had together. I just wanted to make real quick mention that if you want to join us for other future Red Dot Cafes, to make sure to join us at noon on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Tomorrow, as I said earlier, we do have the CEO from the San Antonio Food Bank, Eric Cooper, and Mitch Hagney, who's a local urban farmer, who'll be speaking together. It'll be really exciting, and I really hope that you all are able to join us. So stay tuned for more, and thank you for joining us today.
Help us publicize that these are happening, please.
Yes, please make sure to share it on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, everywhere. Just tell everybody what we're doing. And once again, yeah, if you want to make sure to let us know who it is or what ideas that you want to see more of, or even more activities, please let us know at registration at TEDx San Antonio. I cut you off, Susan. What were you going to say?
That's it. That's what I wanted. I wanted help getting the word out. And I'm going to touch my face just 12 times in honor of Chris McDermott. Have fun. I had no idea how much I touched my own face. I don't know if I'm alone, but I'm pretty sure Chris feels me on this.
Yeah, I'm the same way. So, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure to take care of yourselves. Get some rest, drink some water, go outside, 3 to 6 feet social distancing, and please, 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 please wash your hands. We care. We love you. We'll see you all later.
Love you guys.
Take care.
Thank you so much.
Bye.